What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about The Last of Us Part 2 spoilers. I want to give my impressions. I want to talk about them. I want to talk about where you stand on this game. I want to have a huge spoiler discussion. Something that I do want to kind of say also to everyone that has seen the spoilers leading into this game. This is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. I've teased it for a while. I've seen, obviously, literally countless amounts of people on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, talk about this game, putting wherever their foot in the sand that they want to put it in. And I want to do the same thing. I want to kind of talk about what I've seen as well. So this is a complete free-for-all, by the way, for spoilers. So I'm very anti-spoiling the game in like a video that's not talking about spoilers. But in this comment section, go crazy. Talk about the spoilers all you want. You guys have my complete blessing. Go ahead. Now, one thing I want to make very clear, and this is really the center point for this discussion. It truly is, because this is what I think so many people I've seen videos of people, again, picking a side and sticking there. And what I've seen is the reluctancy to see the other side. So I want to talk about it all. Let me say this, okay? And I'm going to talk about some spoilers, a lot of the spoilers, actually. One of the things that upset me the most when The Last of Us Part 2 spoilers came out was running with Ellie dies, okay? Now, I think that as time has moved on, we've all kind of come under the realization that she doesn't die. The problem is the people putting their foot in the anti-spoil, and which again I'll get to, and you'll find that I actually am in agreement of a lot of people's anger towards the spoilers. It's just a couple things that I don't agree with, okay? And people running with basically fake news that Ellie dies really upset me, because that just flat out isn't what happens in this game, okay? Now again, I don't know what's going to necessarily happen in this video, but that's just the facts. Is Ellie does not get killed by Abby, okay? Abby beats her almost to death, but she does not end up actually killing Ellie. Now, does that absolve them of their sins of switching with Abby? No, it absolutely does not. I'm going to get to that, okay? I just want to make that statement, because I think a lot of people, I see people, and I actually really like these people, by the way. Geeks and Gamers, the Quartering, right? Jeremy, actually both of them are Jeremys. I love those two. Those are two amazing, I think those are two really good people. I think those are two really good channels. I just don't like them running off of something that does not happen in the game, and I hope that they haven't been putting a lot of their stock into that, because then when the game comes out and that doesn't happen, well, I think they look really bad now that they've been saying for months that Ellie dies, and all of a sudden she doesn't die. I think that makes you look really terrible. Okay, that's just one thing I want to get out there early on this video. I will say that the leaks are bad. So I want to be transparent. I want to be open and honest, and I'm going to, okay? So if you guys don't agree with what I'm saying, it's completely cool. Again, I think that's what makes me, and not to like boost my ego, because that's not what I'm doing, but that is what makes this channel, that's what makes me, I think, different. I really do think different, because I have a lot of opinions. I have a lot of strong opinions, but I try my very best to see all the sides of it. In fact, myself personally, I'm still excited for this game. I'm getting this game day one. So all those things, that have turned a lot of people off, yeah, and it's not like I'm giving them like a full chance, because I am kind of going into it pretty weary of what's going to happen. But I do want to see if by some miraculous reasoning they can actually pull this off, and I'll explain why. I will explain why. So obviously, I think one of the biggest things in this game is that twist that obviously, okay, Abby kills Joel, and then you play as Abby. That is massive. That is something that, look, let me tell you this. The politics behind what kind of person she is, the politics behind the different groups, I'm going to call them groups because I can't say certain words on this channel, and I can't go into the official words, right, because I don't want to get in trouble. That stuff is very bad. Okay, I'm completely anti-shoving that in our throats. I'm completely anti if they're just doing it to do it. The thing is, and I know people, this is where I actually may really lose people, who Ellie is as a person, again, without using specific words, who Ellie is as a person, I actually don't mind at all. I really don't, because why? It's the thing that people in this people, I guess, in my category, right? People that don't want these things shoved in our faces, people that don't want these things to be the center point of a movie or a game, it's because it shouldn't be. It should be the character. Why do we love Ellie? And if you don't love Ellie, I may just not be the right person to be listening to the video. But let's say this, why do we love Ellie in The Last of Us 1? Because of her character. The choices she made in other factors of her life, let's say, again, to kind of dance around the words, that I think is fine. I actually have zero problem with it. I don't know why anybody would actually have a problem with it, but it didn't define her as a person. The problem with the groups and Abby that we've seen from the leaks, again, very important. This is why I am trying to give them a chance. From the leaks, it paints them very one-dimensional. These people are bad, or these people have like a purpose that's plainly this. Abby is a character that's plainly this. You know what I mean? Again, I can't say it. I won't say it, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Now let me say, that's a huge problem. If the game comes out and that is actually true, and which, again, it could be true, but it depends on how it's shown, then that is a huge problem. And what do I mean by, like, if it's actually true? Well, see, the thing with Abby, okay, the thing with her killing Joel and you play as her, that on its own is actually, in my opinion, this is, again, where I may lose people, is actually a good idea. I actually like and respect that idea. I think the idea that somebody so in The Last of Us, I'm replaying The Last of Us right now, by the way. The Last of Us, as Joel, you're kind of a bad guy. Okay, you take out, let's say, again, to use polite words, you take out a lot of people, a lot. And now, yes, are they bad? Yeah, most of them, some of them, all of them, whatever you want to say, but they all have lives too. And that's what I love about just the idea that, okay, he killed those doctors, and it just so happens that one of them had a daughter, and she saw it, and then she grows up, and her whole purpose is to eliminate that guy who did that. And then in the next game, or in 5 years later in their lives, again, picture it as just real life, you do a trillion different things in The Last of Us, and then one of those, just one smaller thing, you may not even remember doing it, one of those things comes back to bite you 5 years later, in which that whole thing happens. I love that. I really do. Again, if you don't, that's completely up to you. That's completely your opinion. I respect that. But that idea of like story, basically the storytelling of that, I love that concept. That's something so small, because you kill like 500, let's say 500. It's way more than that. But you kill 500 people in The Last of Us. One of them has a connection that eventually comes back to bite you. I love that. If you don't, I mean, we just have a difference of opinion. That's okay, but I love that idea. So that on its own is completely cool. And I don't even know if people are all that upset. Let me say this. I think the people that are super upset do think like, well, I don't care. Joel, he's our hero. He's our protagonist. Like, nobody, like, you know what I mean? I feel like some of the outrage is geared towards that. If that's the way, I just flat out don't agree with that. Now, let me tell you again, though, if she's one-dimensional, and another thing is, I get that. Even what I just pitched to you, I get that. But the game expecting you to watch your favorite one of the greatest characters in gaming, one of people's most favorite characters in gaming, be killed by somebody else, and then you play as that somebody else for the next slightly less than half of the game. Oh, and then you go after your other favorite character, arguably the more favorite character in Ellie, and then so that's the other part, right? Obviously, you playing as Abby and you going on this quest to take out Ellie, and then in the end you battle her and you win. Firstly, there's a lot of problems with that. I never liked that thing with like gaming where it's like, they're obviously gonna have scripted things, right? When in the fight with Ellie, she's obviously gonna do like scripted things, and you're gonna beat her. And what sucks is because it's a game, kind of like that disconnect. It's like, well, if I was playing as Ellie, I wouldn't have let that happen. I wouldn't have lost that fight. That's what sucks about games, and also the fact that because of what they're doing, changing it so you're Abby and versus Ellie, I think people are going to think that a little bit more. It's like, oh, come on, like, how could Ellie let something like this, like, if I was playing as Ellie in this situation, I wouldn't have lost this fight, but because I'm playing as Abby, I have to win it. Now, again, not every boss fight in a game do you win. Sometimes it's scripted that you lose, but that is something that's a problem. But again, the biggest problem is if she's not developed, if Abby is not developed, which by the leaks, it doesn't sound like she is, and then you end up playing as her, and after you eliminate one character, and then you're going after the other character, it's a hard sell. I think that is what Neil Druckmann was ultimately saying years ago when he said, like, you have to trust us, we're going to do things that you're not expected, like, you got to give us, you got to put some trust in us that we can handle this. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like they've handled it all that well, but again, the thing is, that's why why I do want to give it a chance, because if they can make us care about Abby somehow, which again, in credit of the leaks, it doesn't sound like you will. What should have happened, I've pitched this, and I'm sure I'll pitch this, by the way, in videos after this game comes out, because I'm going to be covering this game a ton after it comes out. If the game opens up, which I do not believe the game opens up, I believe, on the flashback of Joel doing it, but you're Joel, okay? The game should open up as Abby. What my pitch for this game that I think would actually work really well from what we already know, okay? And again, none of us have actually played this game yet, but from what we know from the leaks, if we started this game as Abby, we didn't know who this character was, and the first part of this game was growing to like this character, giving her a backstory, giving her something to care about, and then we walked in to Joel doing what he did to her father. Now that gives us all the reason to say, okay, well, I don't want to, obviously I don't want to see Joel go, but I can completely understand why Abby would do something like that, because I just spent a couple hours playing as her. Instead, it seems like they're doing the opposite. They're going to give us the reins of Abby after we've already done a bad deed. And no matter how much they make us feel for her character or make Ellie look bad, because by the way, they could do that too, and I think that actually is a good thing you should try to do, is if you can see from the outside that Ellie is becoming a bad person. Because again, nobody's good in this world. And obviously we know that, but playing as Ellie, we don't know that as well, right? But if you take us out of that and you say, okay, well, let's look at what Ellie's doing from the outside and see that, my God, like, she's upsetting a lot of people. She's ruining people's lives. You can understand why people would go after her. Again, I think that's important. I think that's what The Last of Us is. And if people don't like that, again, I just don't think it's maybe for them, or I think they maybe are missing something. Again, how the game does it, how the game shows it to us, that's a huge problem. That is going to bite them. That will be the make or break thing with this game. But the premise of that, I think, is amazing. Again, your favorite characters, but again, they're bad. They're not good people. Nobody in this world is good. Nobody. Ellie has done some terrible things. Joel has done some terrible things, and Joel did terrible things within those years between Sarah and Ellie. He did awful things. So again, these characters are not one-dimensional, and that's actually phenomenal. That's why they're so good. Introducing Abby is not. The final thing is the whole other stuff that is going on with these groups. Again, that goes into those kind of words I don't want to say. Those were highlighted in those bullet points. Those are very SJW. We can probably say those words, right? Very, very SJW. We know that could be a very, very big problem. Again, those are leaks. Those are and I'm not saying that makes it, oh my God, they're leaks, so they must not be true. No, I'm saying, like, they were bullet points, okay? The only thing we know in context a little bit is the scenes that we saw when they came out. Besides those scenes, besides that, and again, those are only context in a couple minutes in those scenes. So that, I think, some people have said it, I think, a lot worse than others, but the people saying, like, oh, you can't judge this game until you play it because everything's out of, you know what I mean? Like, they are kind of right. The leaks are just bullet points, and so bullet points, you just read them. You can make them out to be very, very bad things, but then when you play the game, oh, well, maybe there was a lot more to it that the leaks just didn't say. You know what I mean? It also depends on who actually, I don't know who to believe at this point, but who actually leaked it, and then maybe they have some sort of agenda, and then maybe they framed it a certain way. Again, it could definitely be in the game, but it maybe isn't going to be so heavily like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be exactly word for word how they typed it out in those bullet points. The only thing we know for sure are those cutscenes, and the cutscenes, again, while, yeah, I mean, you could look at them and say, oh my dear God, like, that was awful. It was only a couple minutes of obviously a much longer game. So, again, there are some terrible things in this leak. There are some things that if these things come true in the base game, which, again, they very well could, and again, in terms of how they do it, how Abby's character is written, how these other characters are written, how the groups, how the enemies are written in this game, if those turn out to be like the leaks, then this game is, then I mean, I agree. I'm fully on board with people, by the way, that say, like, then if that happens, I want this game to not do good. I want Naughty Dog to go under some sort of, facelift, or, I need them to completely redo themselves, because this is not Naughty Dog, okay? So if that happens, then obviously things need to change. I'm fully on board with that. But at the same time, again, maybe where I differ from people is knowing the leaks and understanding the hate of them, and understanding that I myself don't even like them, if it's done right, the bigger moments, the Abby stuff, the obviously the thing with Joel, the thing with Ellie at the end, all those things, if they're done right, and they're done with more context, and they're done with more engagement, it can actually still work. You know what I mean? I guess you could argue, well, if they have those bullet points of what like the group is anti, let's say those kind of words, if that is true, even if there is context, even if there's more layers to it, but that's like their central point, that's still bad. Oh, I completely agree. I absolutely completely agree. Ultimately, though, we're not going to know until we play it. And again, that's where kind of that divide comes, where people are going to say, well, I'm not even going to give it the time of day. I get it. I have no problem. And this is where, again, a lot of fake news comes out is if anybody's saying like, oh, he's telling us we should get the game. No, and I've said this for the longest time, if the leaks have turned you off to it and you're not getting the game because of the leaks, I respect you and I understand where you're coming from. I also respect and understand the people that saw the leaks that say, I'm still getting the game. I also respect the people that say, I'm not going to look at the leaks. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm still going to get the game. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. I do think, you could call me crazy. I do think this game can still work. I really, really do. Yes, journalists are probably going to be pushing it really hard, completely anti all the stuff we've heard and say it's a masterpiece. Ultimately, we've seen the gameplay. The gameplay is phenomenal. The game is going to look amazing. The game is going to play amazing. The game is going to have, it still has Joel and Ellie, right? So it's going to have good characters. It's got probably the best foundation you could hope for in a game. It's the rest of it. You know what I mean? So can it still be good? Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, all these leaks, putting them into context, for me is going to be important. That's why I'm going to play this game the second it's available, and I'm going to try and beat it as quickly as I can so I understand, okay, do these things, can I trust Neil Druckmann? Can these things actually work when put into his full story? Not bullet points, not a couple cutscenes here and there, but full on, in the story. And again, I get those leaks. I get the cutscenes. I keep wanting to make that very, very clear. I get those things. And if they are as black and white, as plain and as one-dimensional as those things, then I'm going to have some very negative things to say about this game. But if there's more to them, then again, the people that are leaking this, or the people that are talking about these leaks, I think they're going to look, again, like the whole, if you see people that are running around saying that Ellie dies, immediately they're going to look bad at the end of this, okay? I really just think it's going to be like, well, you lied to us, or you didn't do the research or whatever, she doesn't die. So immediately, they've lost some trust. And then if the game somehow pulls it off and it's like, well, yeah, Abby is this and is that and does have this SJW stuff, but I understand where the big things that happen in this game, I understand it, and I actually can get her character. I don't think Abby is ever going to be likable because of what she does in the game, but can you understand why she does those things? That's The Last of Us. I don't think you have to like it. You have to understand it. And if the game can pull that off, then the game has succeeded. If the game does not pull that off, then it will fail miserably. And that is a discussion that truly, the journalists are going to have their say next Friday. We're going to have our say when we actually get the game, or when you see it. I have nothing against, by the way, just seeing the game. Watch the game online. If you guys don't want to pay for it, again, totally up to you. People will be playing this game online. Trust me, you'll be able to watch you'll be able to see everything in context online if you don't want to pay for this game. And so really, it's not even like you have to buy this game to see the full context. I think you just have to experience it in some way. Watch it, watch someone else play it yourself, whichever one you fall under. That's where I think I stand. I think that is about as clear as I can possibly make it. I'm sure I've missed other things. Yes, there were more in the leaks. I know all the leaks, so I know what happens throughout this game. There's obviously more to it, but I think those were the big kind of foundations of it that I wanted to get out there. So let me know. I know The Last of Us videos always get a lot of dislikes on this channel. I've actually seen it in a lot of other channels. Really, whenever anybody talks about The Last of Us now, it gets very weird like to dislike ratios. Let me say this to end this. I really do appreciate all of you guys that have watched. I appreciate all of you guys that have made it this far in the video. I truly, truly do. Thank you for giving me the chance to talk about this with you. Thank you if you guys understand where I'm coming from and you see kind of them trying to be in the middle, or maybe I just see things in the middle. Thank you for understanding. Hopefully, we're all on the same kind of page. Again, we don't have to agree with everything, but hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. I understand where you are coming from, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to have more Last of Us videos as the weeks progress. When the game comes out, there's going to be loads of videos. I'll talk about the ending. I'll talk about, the potential third game. We'll see maybe if it all works. We'll have a ton of really fun discussions over the next little while, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.